My fiancé poisoned my dog. The vet saved us both. I always believed betrayal was something you saw in movies, the kind that happened to other people in dramatic courtroom dramas or soap operas. But when it walked into my life, it came quietly disguised as love. And the first one to sense it wasn't me, it was my dog Max. Max wasn't just a pet. He'd been with me for 5 years through college, my first apartment, late nights when loneliness threatened to swallow me whole, and mornings when I wondered if I was strong enough to keep moving forward. He was a Labrador with caramel-colored fur, endlessly wagging tail, and eyes that seemed to understand everything I never said out loud. When I met Derek, my fiancé, Max was the first test. If Derek couldn't love Max, then there was no point in going further. To my relief, Derek seemed to embrace him, slipping him treats, scratching his ears, even insisting he'd always wanted a dog. Or so I thought. It started small, things you wouldn't notice if you weren't paying attention. Derek would sigh when Max barked at the mailman, muttering, "He's too loud for an apartment dog." He'd roll his eyes when I insisted on taking Max to the park instead of staying in for a movie. Once when Max accidentally chewed through one of Derek's sneakers, he snapped, "You need to control him. He's not some spoiled brat. You treat him like a child." I laughed it off, chalking it up to stress. Derek was under pressure at work, and Max was part of my life long before he came along. Compromise, I told myself. That's what love is. But compromise shouldn't look like what happened next. It was a Wednesday evening when I noticed Max acting strangely. Dinner had been ordinary chicken stir-fry for me, kibble with a bit of boiled chicken for him. He ate, wagged his tail, and curled up in his usual spot near the couch. But 30 minutes later, he staggered to his feet, stumbled, and collapsed. His breaths came shallow, his eyes glazed, panic shot through me so fast I barely remember grabbing the phone. The vet's office was 10 minutes away, but every red light felt like an eternity. I clutched Max's body in the back seat, whispering, "Stay with me, please. Please don't leave me." Derek drove, silent, hands tight on the steering wheel. I remember glancing at him, expecting panic, fear, something, but his face was unreadable. Cold, almost. At the vet, everything blurred. A nurse whisked Max away while I filled out forms with shaking hands. Dr. Patel, a calm, middle-aged woman with sharp eyes, came out after what felt like hours, but was only 15 minutes. "They're running blood tests," she said. "There are signs of poisoning. Did he get into cleaning supplies? Rat bait? Anything unusual at home?" "Poisoning?" My voice cracked. No, nothing like that. He was just eating his food." I made sure. Her eyes softened, but her words stayed clinical. "We will know more soon. In cases like this, time is critical." Derek put his hand on my back, murmuring, "He'll be fine," but something about his tone, too even, too dismissive, stuck with me. An hour later, Dr. Patel returned with the results. "Rat poison," she said flatly, "anticoagulants. He ingested a significant dose." My stomach dropped. "That sip's not possible. We don't have any in the apartment. I sips never bought it." Dr. Patel studied me for a moment before asking quietly, "Is there anyone who would want to hurt him?" The question hung in the air like smoke. I turned instinctively to Derek, but he was already looking away, fiddling with his phone. That night, Max pulled through the worst of it. He was weak, hooked up to IVs, but stable. I sat by his cage, tears streaking my face, promising him we'd figure it out. Derek stopped by once, dropped off a change of clothes for me, then left early, claiming he had an early meeting. Dr. Patel approached again, her expression thoughtful. "Listen," she said, lowering her voice. "You said you never bought rat poison. If that's true, then this didn't happen by accident. I don't want to alarm you, but I've seen cases like this before. If someone did this deliberately, you need to be careful." Her words rattled inside me. Could it be a neighbor? Someone who didn't set like dogs? But Max was never unsupervised outside. He only ate what I gave him. My brain pushed the thought away. There was no way Derek could have. No. He loved me. He was planning our wedding. He wouldn't set. Would he? The next few days were uneasy. Max came home with medication, fragile but recovering. I hovered over him constantly, double-checking every bite of food, locking away even harmless cleaning supplies. Derek acted normal. Too normal. He joked about how expensive vet bills were, made casual remarks about how maybe Max is getting too old, and changed the subject whenever I brought up the test results. But then it happened again. Friday night, I cooked pasta. Max had his usual kibble with boiled chicken. Half an hour later he vomited, body trembling, whining softly. My heart sank as I rushed him back to the clinic. Dr. Patel looked grim when she saw us. "This wasn't set to fluke," she said. "Someone is poisoning him intentionally." My chest went cold. But how? She hesitated before asking the question that cracked my world open. "Who feeds him besides you?" That night, as I sat in my car outside the clinic, numb, I replayed the past week in my head. Derek had been in the kitchen before dinner. He had scooped Max's food once or twice. He had been oddly calm through all of this. And then I remembered the way his eyes had hardened the night Max chewed his sneakers. The way he once muttered, "It's me or the dog." The thought lodged itself like glass in my throat. I didn't want to believe it, but belief didn't matter anymore. I needed proof. So I set up a hidden camera in the kitchen. The next morning, Derek offered to feed Max while I got some extra sleep. My hands trembled as I checked the footage later. At first, nothing. He opened the kibble, mixed in chicken, whistled as though everything was normal. Then, casually, he reached into his pocket, pulled out a small baggie, and shook powder into the bowl. He stirred it quickly and set the dish down. My breath caught. I had the proof. The man I thought I'd spend my life with, the man who slipped a ring on my finger, was trying to kill my dog. And maybe, just maybe, me too. I sat frozen, laptop glowing in the dark, as Max nosed his bowl suspiciously and looked up at the camera with those trusting eyes. Would Derek find out I knew? Could I get Max safe before it was too late? And most terrifying of all, how do you look someone in the eye when you know they've been hiding a monster behind their smile? The camera had shown me the truth, but the truth was a cliff I wasn't sure I was ready to fall from. If you discovered undeniable proof that your fiancé was harming your pet, would you confront them directly, or go to the police first? I'd love to hear your take in the comments. The video sat on my laptop screen, its timestamp glowing like a wound I couldn't close. Derek, my fiancé, the man who once held me through nights of anxiety and whispered promises of forever, was caught in pixelated betrayal. There was no denying it. His hands, so familiar, reached casually into his pocket. His fingers shook that little baggie of powder. His voice hummed a tune I'd heard him sing in the shower, as if nothing about what he was doing was out of the ordinary. He poisoned Max, smiling as though it were routine. I slammed the laptop shut, heart hammering. My chest felt both heavy and hollow. What now? Do I confront him? Pretend I know nothing? Walk into the police station with the footage? My entire body screamed at me to run to grab Max, my keys, and never look back. But fear rooted me to the couch. Derek was in the next room, whistling, the same way he did on the video. I didn't sleep that night. Every creak in the apartment sounded like a threat. Max slept at my feet, his breathing shallow, fragile but steady. I stroked his fur again and again, whispering promises. We'll get through this. I won't let him hurt you again. The next morning, I called Dr. Patel from the bathroom with the shower running, my voice barely above a whisper. I have proof, I told her. Proof? Yes. Video. It sits Derek. He's been poisoning Max. There was silence on the line before she said, listen carefully. If you feel unsafe, leave now. Bring the video with you. Dawn said, confront him alone. Do you understand? Her firmness steadied me. I stuffed essentials into a duffel bag, documents, laptop, cash, Max's leash, and waited until Derek left for work. My hands shook unlocking the car, buckling Max into the passenger seat. My legs felt like rubber as I drove straight to the vet's office. Dr. Patel was waiting. When I showed her the footage, she exhaled sharply. You need to go to the police, she said. This isn't just cruelty to animals. It could be attempted harm to you. If he's capable of this, you are not safe. The thought made my stomach turn. Derek poisoning me? But hadn't I eaten the same chicken he'd served Max? What if the dosage had been different? My hands went cold as I realized how close I might have come. The police station smelled of old coffee and disinfectant. I clutched Max's leash like a lifeline as I replayed the footage for the officer at the desk. His face hardened with every second. Miss, this is serious, he said. We will need a statement, and we will involve animal control. We will also get you a protective order if you want it. Protective order. The phrase made my skin crawl. Derek, the man who once wrote love notes on sticky pads, now reduced to someone I needed protection from. They took copies of the footage, my written statement, and even Max's medical reports. By the time I left, the sun was sinking. The world outside looked unchanged. Cars honking, kids riding bikes, the usual, but mine had been blown to pieces. That night, I stayed at my friend Hannah's apartment. Max curled up between us, his head heavy on my lap. Hannah looked at me with wide eyes after I told her everything. I never liked him, she admitted. There was always something off. But this is evil. The police called the next morning. They'd confronted Derek. He denied everything, of course, claimed the video was doctored, but they had enough evidence to charge him with animal cruelty and attempted harm. He was released pending trial, but a restraining order kept him from coming near me or Max. Still, fear clung to me like smoke. Every time my phone buzzed, I imagined it was him. Every knock at Hannah's door made my pulse race. The court date came quickly. I sat in the back with Max's leash wrapped around my hand. The video queued up on the prosecutor's laptop. Derek walked in wearing the same suit he once wore to meet my parents. But his face was different, hard, twisted, resentful. When the footage played, the courtroom went silent except for Max's faint whimper on the tape. Derek's lawyer tried to argue it was plant food or medicine, but Dr. Patel's testimony crushed that. She explained the blood tests, the symptoms, the exact poison. She looked directly at Derek when she said, "This was no accident." The judge's gavel echoed. Derek's bail was revoked. He was let out in handcuffs, his glare burning into me. But for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. Afterward, I went home, not to the apartment, but to my parents' house. It smelled like safety, like childhood dinners and laundry detergent. Max padded into the living room, tail wagging weakly, and curled up in his old spot by the fireplace. I sank into the couch, exhaustion washing over me. I'd lost a fiancé, but I'd kept my best friend alive. And in that moment, I realized something: betrayal doesn't always come crashing down in fiery explosions. Sometimes it slithers in quietly, disguised as love, until a dog's weak heartbeat teaches you what loyalty really means. I reached down, scratching Max's ears, and whispered, "We are free now, just you and me." The house was quiet. My heart was lighter. Justice wasn't everything, it didn't erase the scars, but it was enough to close the door on Derek forever. And as Max sighed contentedly, eyes closing, I thought about the ring sitting in a police evidence locker, a promise shattered, a future erased, but a life saved. If someone you loved betrayed you this deeply, would you forgive them? Or would you let the truth cut the ties forever? I'd love to see your thoughts in the comments.